Welcome back to our podcast, At Home on the Lakeshore, where we talk about home loans with our local home loan experts at UnitedOne Credit Union. My name is Mike, and this is episode number 25 of our podcast. And I'd like to welcome in our local home loan experts, Carrie, Marla, Julie. Welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Woohoo,
Happy New Year.
2026.
Woo.
It's crazy that we're already here and we're already pushing our way into the new year. It's amazing how fast the time goes. And the older I get, the faster it seems to fly. So
Agreed.
Doesn't
I
seem to
agree.
be stopping. Well, if we're wondering if this new year, and it's maybe the year that you'll be looking into a home loan or perhaps a remodel or some situation of using the equity in your home or purchasing your first home or buying another home or a vacation home, well, we have the local expert advice and guidance when it comes to home loans in Manitowoc and Sheboygan. We do have a special guest that'll be joining us today on the show, but before we get to that, I know everyone's excited for Julie's joke of the show. So, Julie, please take it away.
Are you ready?
I think I am.
Okay, here we go. Why did the pie go to the dentist?
No idea.
Because it needed fillings.
Oh boy.
I told you it was going to be good.
I
Well,
hope that's not a sign of things to come because I have an upcoming dentist appointment.
ooh, yeah, foreshadowing.
You gotta have
Right.
pie afterwards.
Right?
Remember when doctors used to give you a sucker after you went? They would give you the safety
Yes.
pop, and I always used to think they were in cahoots or they were, in collaboration with the dentists,
Yeah, there's something to that.
but I don't see that too much anymore. Maybe I've just aged out of that phase, but I don't get any sweets or candies when I go to the doctor anymore. But yeah, no, sad times. But now that we've officially broken the ice, I would like to introduce everyone and warmly welcome today's guest, Heather Parnau. So Heather is a broker associate and realtor with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. And so, hello, Heather. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael and everyone from UnitedOne. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and share some of your expertise and knowledge in our local market here with our listeners. So we very much appreciate you joining us, and hopefully it wasn't too much of a groan on your end of the pie and the filling joke that Julie just had. But that's the kind of fun we have on this podcast.
Right.
All righty. So we have some exciting topics to cover today and talk about with a licensed realtor right here on our podcast. And let's start with the big question, right? Why would someone list with a realtor versus going with for sale by owner?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a lot of people do ask that. So one of the biggest things is that when you list with a realtor, you get to have your listing on the multiple listing service. And the multiple listing service is the gold standard as far as, home listings, lots, commercial. So you have that, but you also have a buyer working for you fruitlessly to help you get your home sold for the maximum amount possible. They can also help you with the navigation of contracts, which could be pretty tricky, especially since they're changing every year multiple times. It keeps us realtors on our toes. We have to continue our education and things like that. So even despite the commission costs, again, it helps you to achieve a more seamless offer on your home. I've had people for sale by owner, they've tried it and they're spinning their wheels. They're getting buyers in there to tour their home and then it goes nowhere. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, there's more to it than you think. So yeah.
Thank you for answering that. I know that in my past experience with their friends, family, and things like that, some folks have taken both sides of that. But I've always used a realtor, and I do recommend that to folks, especially if you're new to the area, is relying on those local experts. Just like we recommend folks here at the credit union to work with the local experts like Julie, Carrie, and Marla. We would do the same for realtors as well, because you all know the neighborhood so well. You understand the values and what is happening at the local level when it comes to home availability and different parts of our communities.
Absolutely.
All righty. Any of our local home loan experts have any questions for Heather? I don't want to monopolize all of her time.
Sure. So when someone's looking for a house, they may have some questions as to why they should hire a buyer's agent. Could you help out with that question?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. Why hire a buyer's agent? It's because we work as a fiduciary on your behalf. So we're representing you, trying to get you the best price without overpaying, trying to negotiate home inspection repairs. We also know the market. So before I write an offer as a buyer's agent, as provided there's time, I try to go over comparables with my buyers to say, okay, here's what's on the market, here's what's sold recently. Let's take a look at this. Does this match the house we're writing an offer on? What does that price point look like? It really gives you a better understanding as a buyer of what that price should really be. So that's a really big tool to have when you're a buyer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If people do, utilize a buyer's agent, is there cost involved with that?
Yeah, so typically there is a cost involved. I mean, because we all have to be paid for our time, and you get what you pay for. So in August of 2024, our offer to purchase looked completely different. And there is actually a section in there where you can ask the seller to pay your buyer's agent. So it's totally a negotiable fee that we can ask the seller to pay, like a bank closing costs or other credits.
Okay. So really it helps protect you, the consumer, by working with experts and professionals like this to know things that you wouldn't know normally. Because this is a big purchase, right? We're talking about the largest purchase of your life and the largest, sale of your life as well if you're on the selling side. And so having somebody that understands the compliance, the ins and outs of all that paperwork, I think the benefits speak for themselves by going through that. At least that's been my experience with that as well. It's a lot of papers to sign an initial, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I've had, most of my business is repeat business, and I've had people that have, maybe used me 3 or 4 times now in my almost 11 years. And sometimes people come back and they say, oh my goodness, it's gotten so complicated. Like it wasn't like this last time. And so just because you purchased a house in the past doesn't mean it's going to be the same as it was then. Things are always changing.
What would
Heather,
you
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
Go
Julie. I
ahead.
was just
Go
going to say,
ahead.
what would you suggest for like people who are just starting to think about buying a house? Like, what are the things that they should prepare or do before they give you a call?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carrie. So really, they should get in touch with one of you at UnitedOne. That initial contact, talking with a lender to see where they stand, what kind of loan they're going to be qualified for. All of those things are really important. When we go to see homes, really, we want a pre-approval letter in hand so that I'm with a buyer and I can say, hey, this might be a red flag kind of going down the line, or this should be good. All of those things will help better educate you and myself so I can help with that offer. So getting pre-approved is the first step. And then really after that, that's the green light to go ahead and start looking at homes.
Thank you. We agree completely.
Okay.
Question for you. If I'm looking to buy, but I have a home to sell, can you help with both sides of that transaction? Or I know we're talking a lot about buying. Can you only help
Mhm.
with the buying side?
Yeah, I help with all of it. So yeah, ideally, if I'm working with your sell and your buy, again, we're talking about a more seamless offer. Now always can be hiccups in offers. I always want to say that there's just sometimes there's unknowns, but at the same time, I can help facilitate that much more effectively if I'm on both sides. Yeah.
Do you help like stage my house with selling, or like how do you get my house prepared for selling?
Yeah. So what I do, the first step is a market analysis, and I do a two-step market analysis because it's just more thorough. So I come into your house, take some pictures for myself, take some notes, take everything back to my desk, look at comparable properties, and then we'll talk about like the marketing and what your home specifically needs, because every home's a little bit different. I have professional photographers that I have take photos. And then a lot of times I do use some virtual staging in homes as well. That can really help, especially if a room is vacant, it doesn't, have any furniture in it, then it's nice and easy, a clean slate to work with that way.
Love it. Love it.
And to present your house in the best light possible, especially because so many folks, that's how they're searching for homes now, is all online and
All
looking at those
virtual.
Right.
kind of things.
Mm.
But we all know that at least me personally, I don't know if I would ever buy a house without walking in it, going around,
Right.
as they say, kicking the tires and doing that kind of thing.
Mm.
So Heather, when you're going out for some of those, what do you recommend to homeowners to be looking out for, or generally what would be advice that a realtor would give to folks as they're looking to make a purchase when you're their buyer's agent?
Yeah, so having homes myself, having rentals, I have a pretty good understanding of homes. So when I take people through, I always, you know, I guess my biggest thing is I always talk about the windows because when I first got into real estate, I didn't know how costly windows were. Are the windows old? Do they need to be replaced? What does the roof look like? And then there's a lot of things that people don't notice in homes that I like to point out to them, especially as a buyer agent. Some good, some bad, opening the cabinetry. Are there pullouts? Do they have soft close drawers? Um, what does the electrical look like? How long ago maybe was the electrical updated? Kind of like a rough guess based on what I see out there.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you for this great information. Anyone else from our local home loan experts? Any other questions for Heather while we have her right here on our show? You've got her full attention.
I have a
I
question. Oh,
oh, go ahead, Marla. I'll go next.
I was just gonna, like, from your perspective, what are some like little things, like easy little things that people that are looking to sell could work on doing now that aren't, huge costly things that you would think would help, give them more bang for their buck?
Yeah, okay. Sometimes I recommend a little bit of painting. Not too over the top, but just we don't want anybody to walk in and be like, oh my goodness. So we want something, a little softer. Then you have to really think about maintenance items. So make sure that furnace filter is new. Make sure you don't have any squeaky doors or anything like that. Um, I guess chipping and peeling paint again is another thing to go on, especially when it comes to home loans. Um, yeah, but again, just really think about maintenance because when a buyer comes through your home and they see that you haven't maintained it, that's always a red flag for them. What else am I not seeing visually?
Thank you for addressing the chipping and peeling paint because that was one thing I was going to bring up. If you have chipping or peeling paint and you're going to sell, you are limiting your buyer's
Yeah.
market because there are several programs out there that will need that taken care of prior to closing. So it's way better to do it before you list your house, I think, than have to deal with it when you're trying to get to the closing table.
Yeah, I
Very nice.
agree. And
Another.
installing handrails on
Ooh.
especially the basement steps, a lot of
Mhm,
times those are
mhm.
missing either because somebody moved out and it was just easier to keep it off. But hey, just pop it back on. It really doesn't take a whole lot.
True. That is very true. Question for you on buyer seller side. If they want a home inspection or seller side, they need to get a hold of title company. Will you assist and kind of give them the step by step what they need to do, who they need to contact, when to contact? How does that work for you?
Yeah. So after you have an accepted offer, I'm going to let you know when everything is due. So we're talking about like earnest money, when that's due. That's going to be like the first thing, contacting a home inspector. And then I'll give you a list of reputable and insured home inspectors in our area. Um, and then, I ask about title, who you want to use for them. And then I set everything up that way and let you know who your best resource is going forward with those things.
If a buyer has a question for the seller, maybe they wanted to know
Mhm.
whatever, something specific about the house or how old is the furnace. Do you give a number for them to call the seller, or the buyer can't talk to the seller? You do all the communication between realtors or you and the seller. How does that work? If
Yes,
the
so
buyer wants,
I do
yep,
all the communication between the buyer and the
perfect.
seller. If I'm working with another agent, I would go to the other agent and say, hey, how old is your seller's roof, for example? And if they don't know, sometimes we can look at the tax records, a little bit of behind the scenes things that way. And then the home inspector generally has a pretty good idea within 5 years or so, I would say.
That's good. That's very good information.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much again, listeners. This is Heather Parnau, who's been joining us. She's a broker associate realtor with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. So, Heather, thank you very much again for joining us today. Are there any final questions for Heather? Or, Heather, do you have any questions for us or any final comments you'd like to make as we wrap up today's show?
I don't have any questions. I'm just delighted to be here with you guys. This is a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us again. Yeah, we like doing these podcasts. 25 episodes in, who would have thunk it? When we first brought this idea to the mortgage experts here, a little apprehension, but they've really come a long way, and now they're podcast experts. And we've even had others ask us how to get started with podcasts and how did we get started. And really, it was you just do it like a Band-Aid. You just go for
Right.
it, and you get better as time goes on, or at least so we feel.
My jokes don't get any better though.
Never change, Julie. Never change.
Nope.
Oh, all
That's
righty. Well,
funny.
thank you again, Heather, for joining us, and we appreciate your time and expertise. If anyone has any questions for us in the future, we'd love to hear from you and maybe feature your questions in a future podcast episode. But if you have any questions about home loans, home buying process, or more about the advantages of working with local experts like Heather here as a licensed realtor, you can contact us by email, homeloans@unitedone.org. And we encourage you to give us a like and rate us wherever you get your podcasts. And also feel free to share our podcast with others that could benefit from the information shared today. You're welcome to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook at Facebook/UnitedOneCU. And we're also on Instagram with @UnitedOneCU. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us and take care.